Welcome into the Ravens Rundown, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. On today's show, we will talk about the possibility of the Ravens adding New York Giants wide receiver Darius Slayton in 2023, as The Athletic has suggested that Baltimore is the top potential landing spot for the Giants wide receiver. We'll break that down and more in just a few moments from right now. Before we do, folks, I need to make sure you are subscribed to the Ravens Rundown, as we cover this team like no one else does, with daily news and rumors segments, and also with game previews, post-game reactions, and more. It's all in one place right here on the channel. We just surpassed 8,000 subscribers this past week, another big milestone, but we want to keep on growing. As the Ravens continue this playoff push, this is the place to be. Subscribe now, and we'll get started with today's show. Darius Slayton is the topic of discussion on today's edition of the Ravens Rundown, as The Athletic has named Baltimore as the top potential landing spot for the New York Giants wide receiver. Now, it's interesting because this isn't the first time we've talked about Darius Slayton being linked up to the Baltimore Ravens. He's been a fairly familiar name. Here's what Wulf had to say in his article in The Athletic. The Ravens emerged victorious from a bruising matchup with the Steelers that saw both starting quarterbacks knocked out of the game. With Lamar Jackson still on the mend and Tyler Huntley in concussion protocol, Baltimore may be forced to start undrafted rookie Anthony Brown against Cleveland on Saturday. That did not happen. We did see Tyler Huntley get the start, although the offense did not look good at all on Saturday. Wulf continues on to say, still the Ravens appear playoff bound and go as far as Jackson takes them once healthy in the offseason, once Baltimore has secured Jackson's return, either with a new long-term contract or the franchise tag. It's still needed to surround him with weapons. Slayton is the closest thing on the market to a low-rent DeSean Jackson. And DeSean Jackson, of course, is on the Ravens roster right now. They brought over DeSean Jackson from free agency, about a month or so ago. And so now, potentially adding in Darius Slayton is intriguing. What potentially could he bring to the table to this Baltimore Ravens team? I got all the numbers and the breakdown. We're going to get to know Darius Slayton and see if he fits what the Ravens potentially need. But before we do that, I want to hear from you guys first. This is your chance to be the GM here on the Ravens Rundown. Do you want Darius Slayton? If you do, type Y for yes. If not, type in for no. Let me know in the comment section. Type Y for yes, in for no, if you want the Ravens to sign Darius Slayton. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Get your votes in. Let me know. Y for yes, in for no, if the Ravens should sign Darius Slayton. So here is the backstory on Darius Slayton. 2019, he was a fifth-round pick out of Auburn. He spent his entire career so far with the New York Football Giants. And, you think about it, he's been stuck having to play with Daniel Jones and has still been pretty solid early on in his career. And although the amount of snaps weren't many, he has spent time as a kick returner in the past. So potentially bringing in Darius Slayton, you have a guy that is versatile, that can be used not just as a wide receiver, but also in that return game as well. Something to keep in mind with Darius Slayton of the options that you potentially have for the New York Giants wide receiver. Now, let's go over the numbers on Darius Slayton. And this year, he has been pretty solid in 2022 with 608 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaging well over 17 yards a reception. And he's had 10 catches of 20-plus yards or more. Much better than what he did in 2021 when he had 339 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns in that season. But 2020, 751 yards, 15-yard average, 3 touchdowns, 10 catches of 20 yards or more. 2019 had 740 yards, 15.4 average, 8 touchdowns, and 12 catches of 20 yards or more. So he is a deep threat, potentially brings a lot to the table to a team that could be looking to bring him like Baltimore, of what his potential is. And you have to wonder, too, we mentioned that Daniel Jones factor. if he was playing with a Lamar Jackson or another elite quarterback in this league, how much better would his numbers be? We might get the answer to that question when this offseason comes around with Darius Slayton being a free agent there. So with that said, you tell me, name a player the Ravens should sign this offseason, whether it's Darius Slayton or somebody else. What do you think? Who's a player that the Ravens should consider for this upcoming offseason in 2023? Let me know in the comment section below. Give me one name that comes to mind for you think the Ravens should consider this upcoming offseason. Today's show is presented by BetUS, the exclusive sportsbook partner of Chat Sports. If you go to chatsports.com/bet, you can enter the promo code CHAT125 for a 125% deposit bonus. Just because the Ravens didn't win this weekend doesn't mean you can't win big money with BetUS. You can bet on the remaining NFL games this weekend, the NBA, college basketball, bowl season in full swing. You put $100 down, you get $125 to spend for free. It's like buying a pizza and then getting an extra pizza and then another couple slices included as well for free. It is a great deal. Sign up now. Get your bets in today. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code CHAT125 at checkout. That's chatsports.com/bet. Promo code CHAT125. Now, I'll say this much. The status quo for this Ravens team is not going to be good enough. They have to add a wide receiver this upcoming offseason. Now, how they add a wide receiver, that's up for debate, whether it's through a trade or free agency or through the draft or adding a couple wide receivers for that matter. But staying pat isn't simply going to work. You are going to have to improve this roster. I mean, you look at the Ravens depth chart right now with Rashod Bateman not in the mix at this point. Devin Duvernay, Demarcus Robinson leading the way. And 35-year-old or 36-year-old old man DeSean Jackson being called upon at this juncture to be your number 3 receiver with James Prochet there as well is just a tall task. I mean, this is not a long-term solution to go with this. And I look at Darius Slayton. I think he'd be nice. I think he's a good football player. But I think the Ravens should think bigger. Now, we've talked about DeAndre Hopkins possibly being on the trade market. Or when you look at this upcoming draft and some of the players that are coming out that are going to be available as possible draft options there, to me, Darius Slayton would be fine, but that can't be good enough either. If Darius Slayton is going to be somebody you pick up, then you still need to either draft more receivers or make a trade or other free agency. Slayton I do, don't get me wrong, but that is not the end-all, be-all solution here for this Baltimore Ravens team. Now, there are limitations. You look at the salary situation, you still have to pay Lamar Jackson. You still have to pay Roquan Smith. And you're already dishing out $24 million to Ronnie Stanley and 20-some-odd million to Marlon Humphrey and another 13 to Mark Andrews. So all of those are a big factor as well when you consider the circumstances with this team. But I got to say, Eric DeCosta, John Harbaugh, it's up to you guys to get creative. Got to bring in some help. Got to make some changes. Obviously, bringing back Lamar Jackson is your number 1 priority. And then bringing back Roquan Smith is your number 2 priority. But just staying as you are at the receiver position and adding a guy like Darius Slayton, that would help. But you need more, as far as I'm concerned, getting ready for 2023. What's your confidence level that the Ravens will add a wide receiver? I'm of the belief that I'm like, you know what? I'll believe it when I see it. This is what they should do. This is what they need to do. But will they? That remains to be seen. Scale it for me, 1 through 10, in the comment section below, how confident you are that the Ravens will make changes to this receiving core in the 2023 offseason. As always, you can interact with me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, @Tyler Jones Live, and I will see you next time right here on the Ravens Rundown. Thanks for joining us.